the fight means losing the relationship. Welcome to the Own Your BS show, the place where we help you to strengthen connections, conquer challenges, and claim your messages. I'm Cindy Tien, and I have my co-host with me today, Raymond and Jenny, and we'll be talking about the art of disagreement because apparently we've been getting it all wrong. And it brings me so much delight to introduce this dear couple whom I deeply respect. Raymond and Jenny have been learning to disagree for the last 25 years, and they are blessed with 2 young adult kids. They are partners in life and work, and they have a company called Play Insight, where they have a gift for facilitating powerful conversations for leaders and couples. They both love hiking, and Raymond takes stunning butt photos. We'll show some of that if we can. And Jenny is also the face of the popular home bakery, 10 Butterfingers. So a big warm welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Pleasure to be here.
So excited to have you here. We've known each other for almost 12 years.
As time passed so fast.
Since your kids were young.
Yes.
And we've been friends for the longest time. We've journeyed together in so many areas of our life.
Yes.
We used to co-train together.
Oh, yes.
And I've attended all your marriage workshops, and I swear by them, guys, really good. And I think what really fascinates me about the both of you is that you are both so passionate about this space for helping marriages, and you both really have a gift and a heart for that as well.
Oh, thank you.
So my first question is, how did that all come about? How did you kind of recognize that, hey, this is really an area that you want to help people with, and it's an area where you want to kind of grow your ministry in?
Right.
I'll start.
Okay.
Yeah, I think for us, as you rightly mentioned, we are married 25 years, but we have been teaching marriage preparation classes for the past 23 years.
Wow.
So it's been a long time.
Okay.
Right. So I suppose over the years we have grown to realize, building a strong marriage is so important, and that kept us going for all these years, more than 2 decades.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, we're not a perfect couple, far from perfect. In fact, one of the
To me, you are so perfect.
As the saying goes, it's perfect from far, but far from perfect.
One of the things that has really kept us on our toes is the fact that we have to teach marriage prep class twice a year for the last 23 years. When you have to repeat the lessons that you're teaching, you have to learn them well yourself. So that's really kept us very humble, helped us to learn and understand what exactly are we teaching couples. What are we helping couples who are getting married understand when it comes to their relationship? Are we living it out? Does it even make sense to us? Well, fast forward during COVID, we were doing our marriage preparation classes online because obviously we couldn't meet. And interestingly, as I shared snippets of it on 10 Butterfingers, I started getting people texting me to say that, where is this? I'm having struggles with my marriage. Where can I attend this? And I said to Raymond, that's interesting. I'm really not sure. And they said, Jenny, we want to come to your class. And so I decided, oh gosh, maybe we should write something for the marketplace. People who are already married, people who are struggling and may have forgotten what they attended 20 over years ago. So we thought, that's something perhaps would be helpful for the marketplace. So we started with a program, and we thought, since the biggest area is really around conflict management. And everybody was responding to me on conflict management. My husband doesn't understand me. I've been fighting. How do I get through to my spouse? I thought, let's call this workshop
The Art of Disagreement.
The Art of Disagreement. Initially, we were thinking, are we actually popularizing disagreement? And I think after a while, we said, hey, you know what? Everybody doesn't like disagreement, and we say we should agree. But what if we said there was a way to disagree and a way to accept it, as opposed to being ashamed of it? So that's how we got started.
I love where it kind of came from. I love the fact that you started teaching it, and we all kind of know that as trainers and speakers, in order for you to teach and speak about something, you have to process it yourself.
Absolutely.
And honestly, I wish that I had this kind of education and resource to go to before I got married, because I think I kind of went through...
So do we.
You did, huh? You did. Oh, so you were not doing this before. So you mentioned 23 years. So you only started doing marriage prep.
We had to
classes.
figure a lot of things out ourselves. Went through so many hard knocks, wanting to kill each other, not knowing how to kill each other, trying to kill each other.
Which weapon should I use?
Which weapon should we use? But we recognize that, hey, this is really an area which many couples get into conflicts, but yet lacking the skills, and the attitude, the right attitudes to get through it properly.
Yes. It's very nice, very nice. So let's talk about this, okay? So, I mean, first and foremost, I don't know what is the art of disagreement before I attended your workshop. To me, the art is, as long as Cindy wins, it's an art, right? So, interesting quiz. I'm just going to ask a quick question, okay? According to a research on over 3,000 couples, so the audience can guess, and feel free to guess for fun, how many times do you think the average couple argues per day? Is it A, once a day, B, 3 times a day, or C, 7 times a day?
I'm going to go with 7.
Jenny, I would like to say 3 to 7. I'm thinking about how many times it happens to us. Yeah, probably. Maybe I'll do 3.
You do 3. The correct answer is 7. 7. So that's over 2,400 arguments per year if you think about it. And if I think about my own marriage and how much we fought when, my husband and I first got married, and we were fighting about the darndest things, right? Why are you leaving your clothes on the floor? Hey, the way you speak to me. Hey, how many times do I have to remind you to flush after you finish? That kind of a thing, right?
And if you think about it, when we first get together, we are often attracted by each other's, character. We like each other's values. We like, how we look.
We also give in a lot more to each other,
we were
right?
more lovey-dovey. But when we finally get married, and it's all the small little things that really annoy each other, isn't it?
Yeah.
Totally. I mean, you are cute if I see you like 2 hours a week, but you are no longer cute. During COVID, I want to punch each other, that kind of a thing. So it's interesting. So even as we fight, I realized that there was this almost resentment builder. And I swear, I always thought that marriage is the hardest thing I've ever done. So that was tough. And I remember getting so resentful of my husband because of all these little things we were fighting. It kind of builds up inside you, right? So I was saying really mean things to him every now and then because I guess I knew how to fight, but I didn't know how to express myself. There's an EQ problem there. And I remember just saying really mean things. And one day, he just looked at me and he said, "Dear, you got nothing good to say about me. Nothing. He went like that, And I suddenly, in that moment, I realized, oh my God, yes, I've just been passive-aggressively attacking this guy.
Yeah.
I felt so sorry. And then I heard my pastor one time said something like, people who are very critical of others, the reason why they're critical of others is because they are very unhappy with themselves. And actually that hit me. I was thinking, oh my God, I'm fighting with him because I think I'm mad at him.
Yeah.
But actually I'm very mad at myself because I just wasn't happy with myself. So when you're at war with yourself, everybody else becomes like collateral damage, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And there's a lot of processing, a lot of growing to do in a marriage. And you're absolutely right. The number of conflicts that we have at the start of a relationship shows that we really haven't grown through all the conflicts. But as you start to discover, what are the things that you're unhappy with, and you start to grow through them, process them, and you really grow as a person. And marriage brings two individuals into such close proximity that you're forced to confront all the nasties in you. And to process them, and Cindy, you've done that work, and that's why, I can imagine that your conflicts are not as vibrant and colorful as they used to be.
Hopefully not.
Yeah, but there's just so much growing that we ourselves have had to do because we are in such close proximity with somebody else who is not us.
And often, we hear when we work with couples, we often hear the comment, you're not the same person I married, many, many years ago. But that is really the truth. We all do change over time, right? I mean, of course, our belly size change, our dress size change. That's one thing that will change for sure. But in terms of the way we look at things, the way we process information, our perspectives, they do change, right? And they change because over time, we learn more about ourselves, we learn more about people around us, we learn what is more important to us, right? And so things do change. And with those changes will bring, obviously, opportunities for disagreements because now we learn more about ourselves, we learn more about our partners, and we may or may not like what we see about ourselves or about people around us, right? So there's a lot of processing, as you rightly mentioned, a lot of learning and unlearning and relearning that we need to do, through these many years, and it's always a journey, isn't it?
It is. There's this saying that goes, which I disagree with now, they say that the older you get married, the better it is, So I thought I had it all figured out because I got married at the age of 36, which is considered not very young, right, in Singapore. So I mean, I had other boyfriends before, but they were good people, but they all brought out childhood traumas in me. So when I got married at 36, I thought, you know what, I figured it out because I'm just going to choose a nice Christian guy. So this person is going to be easy to live with. This person is going to be loving towards me. And this person is going to be somebody that gives in to me. Yeah, so I thought I figured it out. But it turns out that it's really never a good age to get married. Every age brings you trauma. I know you all got married at a young age. So tell me a bit more about...
Pretty young. Well, we got married when we were 24. I was 24 and he was 26.
That's very young.
Yeah, and I thought I really met the man of my dreams. Just like you thought, marry a good Christian man. I thought, wow, Raymond's everything that I really hoped for. I found my...
Still is.
I found my Prince Charming, we're gonna build this life together and it will be happily ever after. Until, it was like, whoa, what happened to my dream? Does happily ever after still exist? So, we would fight over simple things like what time he sleeps, what time we sleep. He would be asleep by the time I'm excited to want to watch TV and spend a little bit of snuggle time together, but he's sleeping. And I'm like, what? Is this romance? And it's every day. It's not a one-time thing. It's every day. And so from every single thing that could be fought, like, I guess 7 times makes sense. Right? We just fought over little things like, why am I waiting for you? There were so many things that we had to disagree about. And I think at a point in time, I felt really guilty. I felt really guilty because in my mind, I thought a good Christian wife or a good wife does not quarrel, right? I mean, when we see, TCS drama or drama on TV, they portray the wife that quarrels as a bad wife.
Yeah.
Right. And we see all that, and when we are like that wife, we go, I'm a bad wife. So what did I do? I thought, I'm really a bad wife for quarreling with my husband. I'm a fraud, right? What am I doing serving in church, teaching, or even talking about marriage when I'm quarreling with my husband?
In the same breath, it makes me feel, why is it that I can't get anything right? Why am I always at fault for, even falling asleep? Because I do feel tired at that time. What's wrong with that, right? And what's wrong with me, right? So there's a lot of frustration,
You both sound so innocent when you're talking now.
Of course.
Okay. So this is very cute, right? About the things that we fight about, the expectations we kind of bring into the marriage, right? And why we think that we are bad people or not good enough.
Yeah, and how would you want to stay with a person if you keep thinking of yourself as a bad person, right? I'm not able to please my husband. I'm not able to please my wife. Like, he makes me feel or she makes me feel worse than how I would want to be. And so very naturally, when that comes up a lot in a marriage, I guess that's why people say, I don't want to be with you,
I suppose, in extreme cases, people begin to find that, hey, somebody outside the marriage looks more attractive, right? And that's how things fall apart.
Exactly. So there's this saying that goes, our emotional needs are not met, right? So for example, if let's say the husband wants respect and then the wife doesn't respect the husband, then the husband goes outside and finds a xiao mei mei.
Right.
So when I was fighting with my husband, I think, you guys are like very pure, like you're the purest people I know, because you'll be fighting like, I'm not good enough, but I'm like fighting like, you are not good enough, that kind of a thing. So our fights will be like the darndest things, like what you say, like the sleeping and all that. And just one simple one, I probably have shared this with you before, is as simple as his phone charger is not working. So he's struggling with the phone charger and it's almost bedtime, right? So I'm wondering, hey, how come you haven't come to bed yet? So I just go to him and say, hey dear, you're not coming to bed. And then because he's so frustrated with his charger, and I didn't know that he was frustrated with his charger, he yelled at me and said, wait, Ken, I'm struggling with my charger here, shit. And then when he goes like that, guess what this girl will do? I get triggered and I say, stop yelling at me, okay, you asshole. And then he will go like, you shut up. And I say, you shut up, you piece of crap. And it's like, the more we say, the more our words cut, And
Yeah.
it does not help that both of us have a temper of, I always say, constipated King Kong. Yeah, so we're like blowing each other, and I think it just got really bad, right? And then in my mind, and I think this would be familiar for a lot of people, you started asking yourself, why am I fighting so much?
Yeah.
Is it because we are not meant to be together? Have I made the wrong decision?
Yeah.
So in my mind, I feel like conflicts means that you're not compatible.
That's right.
Yeah.
And if to layer on what you just said, right? When people get married, there's a life cycle. At different life stage of the marriage, there are different challenges. Just imagine whatever you just described. Layer on the children, the stresses of parenting, the stresses of work, of traveling, and caring for parents, and many other activities that we are responsible for, in church or other responsibilities. All these do add up, and just guess what will happen? It just blows up. And going back into the data and the statistics that is all available in the public domain, about 50%, slightly below 50% of all divorces that happens in the first 10 years of a marriage. All right, and that's food for thought, right? And so if you think about it, what is that kind of demographic profile of the first 10 years? It is when probably you're starting anew, right? In your family, you're coming together, you may be starting to have kids, right? And kids are probably going to be in, toddling around, going early primary school. You can just imagine the kind of stresses that the couples will be going through themselves.
You'll be really busy with work.
Yes.
You're climbing the corporate ladder. You've got responsibilities at work.
With your parents. With your kids,
Yes. So there's a lot of stress coming up. And you've layered that onto a relationship where you're hoping your partner understands you. But it's the way we fight that's detrimental, not what we fight.
That's right.
Yeah.
So conflicts are normal. Right, it's very normal because at every life stage there will be things that trip us up, there will be things that distract us, there will be things that stresses us.
Yeah.
But how do we fight is really important.
I think one of the misperceptions that we really wanted to address in conflicts is we always think that conflicts are bad. And the young bride in me felt so guilty. I felt like a fraud for quarreling with my husband. But what if conflicts were really the tunnel to intimacy? And this is a quote by Rick Warren. He says that conflicts are the tunnel to intimacy if we care enough to, understand the underlying barriers and confront them. Then we will truly grow closer to each other. And that really made me stare at it, because conflicts reveal what's really important to both of us. And when we fight, we are fighting about what's important to me, what's important to you. And when we are able to resolve what's really important, then we grow closer together. But when we are unable to resolve what's really important to me and to you, then we get pulled apart from it. So conflicts reveal what's really important to each of us. And it's not the conflicts that are bad, but the ability to resolve the conflicts, to go underneath the layers, to understand how do I actually draw closer to each other. Because if you understand what's really important to me, my heart will be drawn closer to you, right? But we often miss the point because we don't know how to fight.
That's right. And to some couples who don't know how to fight, and they begin to avoid conflicts altogether, they shove things aside, they sweep things under the carpet, they don't talk about the difficult stuff, right? And what happens, on the surface, they may appear to be peaceful, no issues, but deep within something has died. Right? The emotional connection has grown colder and colder day by day, and with every single conflict, with every single disappointment and frustration, it just something dies in us, and over time, that's how people so-called fall out of love, right?
Correct. Or the wounds get opened up more and more, and you just let it fester.
That's right.
And everybody is just kind of living with unhealed wounds, right?
Exactly.
And every small little thing, like, hey, how come you didn't buy char kway teow for me? It opens up like the wounds of 10 years ago.
So it's a case of not knowing how to manage the conflict, as opposed to why are we fighting about this? The fights reveal something else behind it. So let me give you an example. Let's quote the example of candy.
Her favorite example.
So I like to say, I like to tell the story in our class that my husband has a little mistress and her name is Candy. And when I see him,
I think I know who she is. She's that colorful girl you're always looking at on your phone.
Absolutely.
yeah, she appears on his phone. She's colorful. She's full of color, and his fingers would just go like that, like caressing her. Right? Yeah. So I always tell this story, and I say, my husband loves candy crushing.
It's a game, by the way.
Just to be clear.
Yeah, just to be clear. Yeah,
Candy
it's on
Crush.
record, right? Yeah, it's Candy Crush.
So
the
he loves
game.
playing Candy Crush, right? And whenever I see him playing Candy Crush, I don't know, something within me just really gets really upset about it. And I flare up. I can go from 0 to 100 like in just
Yeah, man.
a second. And I would say to him, why are you so free? Right? Just the act of seeing him play Candy Crush sparks a reaction in me that goes, why are you so free? Is it? It's like, ooh, the cat claws come out immediately. And he goes, what's your usual reaction?
reaction?
Yeah. Can you leave me alone? Or...
Yeah. I mean, I'm stunned beyond words, right? I mean, usually when I play Candy Crush when, let's say, for example, I kept coming off a long meeting, I'm just tired, I just want to do something brainless, just a chill time, me time, right?
yeah.
So, and she picks on me. Right? At all times, when I
Yes.
I just need to have my own me time,
Yeah.
and she picks on me, right?
Aren't we so
not
good
not
at
as if
that?
she's like, pure, and holy, right? Because she does that with Lazada, Shopee as well, So I'll tell it back to her, right? And it doesn't help
I mean, we're really good at that, right? We are really good at spotting each other's mistakes in our own eyes, and picking on each other. And so, he throws back a defense in response to me picking on him. He says, "Why, can't I play for?
what's wrong?
What's wrong with
with
it?
it? Yeah.
Why can't I play for a little while?" And the defense makes me really, really upset. And then before we know it, we're not fighting about Candy Crush. We're fighting about, what do you mean it's wrong to play Candy Crush? I don't like you playing Candy Crush. We are speaking to each other in a very rude way. I think the birds agree with that. Yeah, so we're fighting and speaking to each other in such a rude way. We are annoyed by the way we speak with each other. And I've lost my train of thought of what I was trying to tell him about me being upset with Candy Crush. Beneath that Candy Crush, as I always tell couples, it's not the Candy Crush that we're fighting about. I'm fighting for a little bit of his attention, right? Why is it you've given your attention away to something as brainless as a Candy Crush? Why couldn't you come and help me? Why did you not ask me whether I needed help? And beneath it is a need for companionship and support. That was my need. That was important to me. But instead of articulating that to Raymond, I just hurled a criticism at him. Why so free? Right? And in response, he says, can't you leave me alone, right? What's wrong with it? And so instead of expressing, hey dear, I really need your help and support, which is important to me, I didn't do that. I just started blaming him. And so it's the narrative that goes on within our minds each time a fight happens. We are believing a false narrative. What if I could accept his narrative that I'm not trying to ignore you, I don't know that you need help. I just needed a brain rest, right? If I had seen that perspective, I wouldn't pick a fight with him. But I believed a false narrative in my mind that says, there he goes again. I'm not important to him. He rather spends time playing Candy Crush.
Yeah, in the
than
same way,
caring about me.
the narrative that goes on in my head when that thing happens is like, there you go again. You're always picking on me. You just can't give me my own time, right? You must always pick on me at the wrong time. Can't I just even have my own 5 minutes or 10 minutes? After all, it's just only 5 lives, right? The Candy Crush game is 5 lives. After 5 lives are done, I'm done, right? Am I not even entitled to that? So I begin to be justifying my own thinking, and I get very bitter, very frustrated, and then what happens? I don't see her perspective, what she's actually calling out for. So we all, you get lost in the words of frustration. We get lost in the angst, the emotions, and then we miss totally the point that
Connection that
yeah.
we needed with each other. Like, I need your support. and he needs my respect. Right? He needs respect from me. So if I had spoken to him, hey dear, do you have some time to help me? You know, I need a little bit of help from you. Respectfully, it wouldn't trigger him into the whole response that why can't she respect me? You know, why can't I get anything done right? So we are triggering each other based on our needs actually. But it's all coming out wrong. We lack the skill sets of saying what our needs are, expressing what we need from each other, and treating each other in a way that, you know, we are all flawed. Yeah, and giving each other the grace to say, hey, I'm a person in need. I have a lot of needs, right? And I like to be loved in this way. Yeah.
I love that you guys have sort of come to this stage where you can articulate your needs so clearly.
Yeah.
And so it allows for the other person to be compassionate to you when you are able to emotionally express it well. A lot of people, from the onset, they might not even be aware of their own needs and what do they want, right? So similarly, I would yell at my husband and say, "We're playing soccer again?" And he once asked me, like, same thing, exact same. What's wrong with playing soccer? I've been playing soccer since I was a kid. So to me, I have nothing wrong. I have nothing against you playing soccer, but are there things that you have not done? Or I feel left out because I think you're not spending time with me. I think you're not prioritizing me. So I think it really goes back again to, do we know our own needs and do we know how to communicate and articulate those needs, right? If not, we become like we're fighting for the sake of fighting, and then we end up fighting about the fight. We lost the, like you said, lost the
plot.
point.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
Of
right.
what we're trying to do in the first place.
And most of us make this mistake of blaming.
Yeah.
I mean, we all do it. We are all really, really guilty about it. We blame each other a lot, you know. And as you rightly said earlier, you know, what about me, you know? Can't you see there's housework to be done? Can't you see all that? Instead of making a request, right? I need a bit of help with the housework. Is that something you can help me with before playing soccer?
That's right.
Or I want us to spend time together, right? Do we have time for that? We don't express ourselves very well.
That's right.
And we launch a rocket over at our spouse.
And just to add on, we launch and we expect our spouse to understand and to be automatic, right? The automatic button should be switched on. But unfortunately, that automatic button is imaginary, it's always faulty. And hence the expectation gap, I think that's the one that is really damaging for all relationships. When you have a certain expectation and your spouse doesn't rise up to that expectation and you don't talk about it, you don't know how to express yourself, that's when it gets very damaging, because then you feel very bitter. Oh, why don't you get it? Why aren't you loving me the way I deserve to be loved, right? Yeah. So and just to add on, from actual research, many researchers have found that the predictors of marital happiness actually comes back to two things. And number one is ability to communicate, which is specifically being able to express yourself, express your needs to your partner, and of course listening to each other. The second predictor of marital happiness is actually the ability to resolve differences, which is also an expression of communication, right? Just that this communication is a bit louder, right? Towards each other. So the ability to communicate, the ability to resolve differences, these are the predictors of marital happiness. But I mean, if you look at us, we may look at as if we have got it right, but it wasn't like that all along.
And we're still learning.
We're still learning
when we're not. And so the term really is: can we practice communicating our needs and feelings in a clear and respectful manner?
That's so hard.
It is hard.
It is so hard when you're triggered,
but the
right?
onus is on us, actually. A good marriage has these two things which Raymond just talked about.
Yeah.
The skill set of the ability to express our feelings and needs in a clear and respectful manner. Yeah.
You've imprinted that word in my head. I can express, but is it clear and respectful?
Yes.
May not be.
Yes.
Yeah. That's right.
Are we demanding or requesting? Is it expressing our feelings and needs or being very demanding on the other person?
I mean, looking back, I wasn't like that when I was younger. I'm a very conflict avoidant person. Yeah. And if you're familiar with StrengthsFinder, my harmony is number one.
And my
Her
harmony,
harmony is at 34, right at the bottom. So we had our fair share of fun, right? Quote unquote fun, right? In this area. So I grew up avoiding conflict because that was something that I mean, my parents are very fierce, they're typical Chinese. I knew that I have to get out of trouble. And I always avoid conflicts, avoid trouble. So I suppose I carried that into
So that
the
was your way of
relationship.
coping.
Yeah,
Yes.
As a
exactly.
kid.
Yeah, exactly. To get out of trouble,
Yeah.
conflicts are bad. Let me not get there. So when it comes to marriage, with Jen, I don't like conflicts as well.
Yeah.
Because it tells me that I've done something wrong,
Yeah.
or what I'm not good enough. So I go out of my way to avoid conflicts. So that was how I started, right?
Yeah. And the more he avoided, the more triggered I became. So that's always in a anxious avoidant relationship. The avoidant person, the more he faces, or the more one party faces a person who's anxious and a conflict, the more they try and avoid it because it's just so unsafe for them. And that triggers a person who's anxious to start actually being more anxious. So you can see the dynamics, how detrimental and how toxic it becomes. And that plays out not just in our marriage, but in many, many marriages that we've seen in the couples that come for our workshops. There's always, we call this almost like the dance of death, right? When you play this out and one person wants to avoid the conflict, one person gets anxious when the conflict is being avoided, what do you do? And so what we usually tell couples is be aware when you get trapped in it. So for the avoidant person, it's the ability to say, trying to resolve conflict is not making me unsafe.
So they have to say this to themselves.
Yeah, I think just coming to a point to be comfortable with the idea that conflict is normal, right? First of all, we need to recognize that conflict is really, really normal in any relationship, and I have to get a grip of managing my own anxieties first. When I understand that conflicts are normal, then the next question is, then how do I resolve it, right?
Yeah.
What's my heart posture that I need to adopt, to resolve the differences, because I can't avoid it. So therefore, instead of turning away, I need to turn towards her and say, okay, let's talk about it. Let's resolve it. Help me to understand what your needs are, right? And it takes practice and after practice to get
a lot
there.
of practice.
So much practice. It sounds like there's a lot of awareness going on there. And, we talked about owning your BS, right? So this is what we are also here to talk about.
Absolutely.
And when we talk about BS, I always like to define it by the 3 types of BS.
Yeah.
The first one is really your blind spots, which are things that everybody can see but you cannot see.
Yeah.
The blind spot could be as simple as I'm conflict avoidant, and some people don't even know they're conflict avoidant.
Yeah.
So for me, my blind spot is probably wanting to point out every little thing that my husband does wrong, not being aware that I'm crushing his confidence rather than lifting it up. So
Yeah.
blind spot. And the second one is a belief system, which is the shoulds and the must-have. So the invisible scripts, which, for example, I might say things like, all men should apologize first. The man must be the one being the bacon. I mean, who says that the man must do that? Even though traditionally we were sort of like taught that they have to do that.
Yeah.
And then the last one is the straight up bullshit, which is the straight up bullshit, I would say. It's almost like the stories we spin to help ourselves avoid discomfort.
Yes.
So for example, I might tell myself, I'll never be a gentle wife. Or, I'll never be able to put up with hardship. And I realized that until we own it, which is to call it out, clean it up, and correct it,
Yes.
then that's when, you still get into the same mess over and over again, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So what are some BSs you've seen?
I'll start. I think a lot of it, taking a step back, I think where these BS come from, I think a lot came from our family of origin, how we were parented by our own parents, right? So looking at my own family, very traditional Chinese parents I have, my mom is very submissive. She'll just support my dad, right, in whatever he does. But it doesn't mean that she's happy. So whenever she's unhappy, she's learned over the decades just to put up with it, just keep quiet, suck it up, and just continue, right? But deep within her, she's just nursing resentment within her. Yeah, so for me, growing up in a family, I don't hear my mom complaining, right? Just sucking it up. So the mental model that I have, right? Wives should be just sucking it up, right?
Well, no, you should be sucking it up.
Wives should be sucking it up. Right, so I think, obviously, in our own marriage, why is my wife picking on me so much, right?
Why is
Quite
pouring
different.
it out?
Yeah, not like my mom, right? What's wrong with her, right? Yeah, And of course, the other, and I mentioned it briefly earlier, because of my dad, they're very strict parents. So my parents, they have a shop in the market selling goods, sundry goods, towels and stuff. And every day I've got to go down the market to help. And I have to go to be there by a certain time. If I'm late, I be wet. Not with a cane, but with the slippers that he sells. So there are so many slippers, so he just wet any pair and just give it to me, right? So over time, I've learned if I'm late, and I am late quite often because when you're a kid, right, you're just happy, you just take one sweet time. So when I'm late, then I have to figure a way to get out of trouble. So because the shop is right at the corner of that, it's a corner unit. My dad is always outside.
Confessing his childhood sins.
Yeah. My tactics, right, to get out of trouble. My mom will be looking after the other side, which is the inside of the shop. So I'm late. I got to make sure I go skirt a big round, avoid my dad.
The Pink Panther.
Yeah, Pink Panther. Right, just sneak in and then pretend I'm there all the time. Then my dad will suddenly appear, thinking that he's been there all the while. So that's how I get out of trouble. But that over time has kind of taught me, for better or for worse, that hey, that's a way to get out of trouble, to avoid the difficult conversations, right? To avoid trouble.
Until he met me.
When trouble meets me, right?
Trouble will find you.
Trouble finds me, right? All the time. Yeah, especially when I'm trying to sleep at night, trouble comes wanting to talk to me. So
you don't sleep until the trouble talks.
Yes, yeah. So that's the kind of the mental model that I had, right, coming to marriage, and I wasn't aware of all these things that's kind of running in my head, and I struggle. What's wrong? Are you picking on me, right? Why are you?
And I think we are often not aware of what we bring into the marriage. It takes our spouse to actually just mirror and show us what exactly do we bring into our marriage. What's the BSs, right, that we bring in, our belief systems, some of our stories that we tell ourselves. What are these? They get all flushed out, and that's what the conflicts revealed in a marriage. Yeah. And so for me, I didn't realize I was that anxious. But I would get really triggered when I tried to talk to Raymond, and he would either be conflict avoidant, and he would say, can we just keep the harmony? And I was like, no, let's bring it up, baby, right? Until it gets resolved. And I didn't realize how much the more he tried to run away, the louder I would get, or the more provoked I would get. And it's all come from a story that if you actually loved me, you would listen to me. And that was something where I guess as a child growing up, I was just told not to feel, it was better not to act up.
Not to be too sensitive.
Not to be too sensitive about things, don't cry, which is not even validating emotions. And so that provoked a lot of a reaction within me each time I was upset about something. I was not given the space to actually address those emotions. And guess what? When my husband does that to me, right, kaboom, that just all comes out at one go. And that reminded me that, maybe I'm not that loved after all. But that's furthest from the truth. In his mind, it's like, I just don't want to fight with you. I'm getting into trouble, not, I don't love you. So here we have each couple both telling each other very different stories. Why can't I ever get things right? Why am I always in trouble? I'm saying, why can't he love me by just, listening to me or spending time with me or just doing whatever I've asked for? We are all asking for the same thing, but not knowing how to express it to each other. And so yes, when we own our bullshits, when we come to that point of realizing, I'm anxious, right? And I actually have a need to be loved in this manner, but I don't know how to ask for it. I don't know how to express myself. And definitely if I speak louder than a certain volume, it triggers him.
Yeah.
And many a times he's had to tell me, can you power down? Can you speak to me nicely? And I realized it's not because, I can't speak in a certain way, but because if I continue to speak louder, it brings him back.
It shuts him down.
It shuts him down.
There's no point of you
Absolutely.
speaking.
So he's making a
message is not going
request.
through.
He makes a request of me not to make him shut down. And I make a request of him, don't go into shutdown mode. So it's almost like a dance, literally. But instead of a dance where it's a dance of death, death of a marriage, we are learning how to do that dance together of pushing, of guiding, of allowing ourselves to flow in an area. And we know each other right now, so we've done enough of that work to go, okay, yeah, I'm raising my voice. And it just takes him to say, dear, please speak softer, without us getting into a fight about my voice.
Yes, yes. Because he can easily go, why are you yelling? And then it goes into another trigger again.
Absolutely.
Right?
It becomes a fight on a fight.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? And that's what happens to all our marriages. We fight about the way we fight. And we've lost the whole point about what was important to us.
Correct. And we call them the presenting issues, right? Whenever you fight, you could be fighting over the children, about money, about, leaving the cups, all over the place, or the laundry, or in-laws. Those are the presenting
career,
issues. Yeah. But,
whatever it is.
Yeah, but underlying it is the inability to resolve conflicts or not being able to communicate your expectations and your needs to each other. Hence, the research that says the predictor for marital happiness and success is really the ability to communicate well and to resolve differences, which basically really explains why we are so passionate about what we do, right? The Art of Disagreement. We really teach this stuff because we really believe it. We have gone through it ourselves and we see how important it is for couples to gain these skills to overcome the differences.
I think the part that's really precious is that as couples, we're also busy. Right? We hardly have the time to clear the emotional baggage of our relationship. I mean, who would leave their baggage or their garbage in the kitchen sink without throwing it out on a daily basis? And that's what we do with our relationship. We get upset with each other, but we sweep it under the carpet. And over time, what happens to that emotional garbage? It just stinks.
It festers, yeah.
Yeah, it festers and stings. So what's really precious as we hold
especially
that
when it
space,
gets infected.
Oh my gosh, yes. So being able to hold that space for couples to say, okay, here's what I'm really meant. Here's my story. And that's my need. And teaching them the skill sets of identifying their beliefs, identifying their stories, helping them to speak to each other in a way that says it wasn't personal. It was never meant to be personal. I'm broken.
That's right. So what we're saying is that instead of fighting each other, now what we are trying to do is to fight for each other, fighting for the marriage. It's not about you win and I lose, but now we are winning together because what we're trying to do is to make the marriage stronger. We're winning for the relationship, we're winning for the marriage itself. And that's a fundamental perspective shift because when we talk to couples who are really struggling, oftentimes they get so frustrated and really fighting and wanting to kill each other. But they forget about what they're fighting for, right? They forgot that, hey, this is the marriage we're fighting for. This is how much they forgot about why they love each other, right? What's so important for them, and all these just gets thrown out, right? So what we are really wanting to do is, as we learn how to fight properly, as we learn how to communicate our needs in a effective way, in a respectful way, the marriage wins, the relationship wins, and that's what we are going after.
I love what you're saying about fighting for the relationship rather than fighting each other, right? Actually, this got me thinking about a time when my husband and I were really fighting each other, and I think I was anxious. So I think this awareness of, are you even aware that you are anxious? Are you aware of your own needs? It becomes really important. So I think that time, this was a couple of years ago, my husband was having a little bit of confusion about his career, and he must have changed 3 to 5 jobs within about 2 years. And it made me really anxious, right? But I think it didn't come across as that. It just came across as like attacking, right? So in my narrative, bitchy narrative, sometimes you go into like, hey, you're not even financially providing for me, and now you're not giving me mental stability. So I kind of started launching into comments like, at this age, we should have this amount of money, or so-and-so's husband is doing so well. So comments that hurt, right? And remember, we were fighting so badly. And the truth is, if I think back about this now, number one is I was scared. I think it was, I was afraid that we would not have enough in our retirement and I'll have to work in McDonald's when I'm 70 years old. I think I was feeling very skeptical. And interestingly, I didn't even believe him when he told me he was having anxiety. I chose not to trust him, and I thought that, hey, this is just an excuse. of you not wanting to work and making very
Yeah.
bad decisions. So we were fighting so much that there was a period of 2 weeks where we didn't talk. He actually went into depression, clinically diagnosed,
Wow.
had to be on medication for some time.
Wow.
And there were 2 weeks that he had to sleep in the other room because I think he had COVID at the same time. So wow, that was like the most painful 2 weeks of our marriage because every comment was triggering, every stare was like stabbing into each other, and every action was just so offensive. I remember crying to my mom and I said, I can't do this. How do you stay with daddy? After all these years of problems that you have, and the problems that they had were not small at all, or it included big amounts of money.
Yeah.
And she was like, because it's a commitment. It's a commitment, yeah. And she was telling me the way that you're fighting him, both of you are just stabbing each other every day. You're wounding each other, and both of you need to heal. You both need to heal, and don't treat marriage like a transaction. Treat it like a commitment, right?
That's true.
Yeah. So I guess my question also to you is, when both parties are so triggered in the heat of the moment, and you guys have got kids as well.
Yeah.
What is the best way to deal with that moment when both parties are so triggered? You honestly don't want to say kind things and respectful things.
Yeah.
And deal with people like that, especially when you have two persons that have got King Kong personalities.
I'll start. I think for me, one thing that I found to be the most useful, at least for me, is to take ownership for my own bullshit, right? For my part in the whole conflict. Even though, I mean, there are many times where I feel that I'm right, and she's wrong, no matter how she explains it, right? Okay. Of course, I wouldn't say that, but that's besides the point. The very fact that what I did, what I said, how I behaved has made her upset, that was something that I need to own up. I need to take ownership. And I'll tell her, okay, I'm sorry for making you feel upset with what I did or what I said. That wasn't my intent, please forgive me, right? And basically I take ownership. Rather than give excuses to say, I did this because you said that, or whatever excuses I can. We are so good at conjuring up. But at that very moment when I take ownership of my own behaviors and how it has made her feel, regardless of whether it's right or wrong, it's no longer about right or wrong. It's really about how
we're making each other feel.
It's about the relationship. So long as you are upset and the feeling is valid, right? We need to acknowledge that. And when we can do that, it's very, very empowering. And it's very important because then it diffuses the pressure, it diffuses the tension at the moment.
I really appreciate Raymond when he does that. You can tell who gets triggered a little bit more. But yeah, when he does that, it's really validating. And I stopped being angry because my emotions has been first validated, and we can go on to process what the issue was. There are times when I'm upset and I walk to him and he's in the midst of preparing for a call or a meeting, and we absolutely have no space or time to process it there and then. So sometimes we press pause on it. When I go up to him and I say, can we talk now? Because I was really quite irritated with the way you spoke to me, earlier. And he would then say, I'm about to enter a meeting right now. I'm sorry if, I'm sorry that the way I spoke to you has really made you feel very irritated. Just the ability to say, I'm sorry, the way I spoke has made you feel very irritated. Repeating the words I said to him, but I have to get on the call right now.
So powerful.
Can we talk about that later? Right? So delaying the conversation later, but addressing the emotion first. And then because I know that he's validated me and said, okay, we can talk about it later. And it really does a magical thing by diffusing the emotion and say, okay, you know what? He has no intention of making me upset. And I can talk about the issue later. And I can tell him subsequently, hey, you spoke in this way and that wasn't nice. I can talk about the issue itself without having to come up with the emotions and be fighting him for those emotions. The other aspect is when our kids were a lot younger, we made it a point not to quarrel in front of them. We wanted the environment to be safe, but we didn't want them, we didn't want to sweep things under the carpet. And so sometimes when we really have to deal with an issue, we would tell the kids, mommy and daddy have to talk about something, right? Please give us some time. We will come back to you later.
Or when she tells me we need to go take a walk.
Yeah.
then that's a clue.
I'm amazed that you can still take a walk when you're
It's the
triggered.
best time to take a walk because as you're walking beside each other, you are keeping pace, and it's an action of walking alongside.
It's like dining, is it?
A little bit,
Like
a
we're
little bit.
eating.
Yes, yes. But instead of mirroring each other, you're saying you're my partner on this journey.
And I guess it's less confrontational
It
because
is.
you're not looking at each other, right? So
absolutely.
it's like we're looking there and
Yeah.
let's just talk.
And there's a lot more space to vent
Yeah.
when you're walking. Whereas when you're fighting with each other, you're just shouting. And the other person gets the full-blown effect of whatever you're unhappy with. But when you're walking, hopefully you're not walking in a crowded mall and shouting at each other, but you're walking in a park or you're walking in a big space.
Or neighborhood streets.
Yeah, there's a lot more space to absorb the negative energy, and it's not all directed at your partner. So let's take a walk is often a good strategy for us. And we tell our couples, hey, you know what, whatever it is, find the right time and space. Have a press pause if that's not the right time. If your children are around or you need to get busy with work, it's not a good time to resolve the conflict. Say when you will resolve it.
Yeah. I think overall the strategy is really to keep the accounts short. Yeah, and you don't want to wait until your date night to talk about stuff, right? And then what you're going to do is you end up going to ruin the date night experience because you're just going to be so upset with one another and you end up not wanting to go for dates anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
What date? Can you date?
Exactly, right? So we want to keep accounts short. We just have to figure out how to do it on a regular basis.
So it's making it a ritual or a habit. As much as we would clear the rubbish out in the kitchen, there are opportunities daily to say, okay, we're going to have dinner together or we're going to have lunch together. Not a date, but in the process of having our meals, we talk about things. And it's an important part of a couple relationship to actually clear out your emotional trash, but also celebrate the good things that come along, right?
I love how sensible you both are, and it's clearly showing that you've done a lot of work on yourself in this marriage, right? Even when you're so upset, you can think about, oh, I'm so sorry that the way I talked to you irritated you.
Not easy.
So my husband once, I said something really mean to him, and then he looked at me and said, ouch, that hurt. And I went, what do you think that was for? That was to hurt, and it felt so good to be sarcastic. I took the lowest possible dirt road. I'm not proud of myself. Okay, but I guess, so when people are like that, because I have been that nasty, unlovable person who gets triggered with a snap of a finger. Yeah. And it's so hard, right, to love somebody who's so unlovable or to respect somebody who doesn't even show up in a way that deserves respect. So, for example, one typical example, somebody who does not take responsibility at home, just be a slob around the house, behaves like he's God, even though he's more like Godzilla or something. So how do you, it's hard, right?
It is hard. It is very hard. Actually, we are doing the exact opposite of what we want from our partner. So you're probably crying out for love from your husband. Right? But when you act in that manner and you reduce him to the lowest life form, you're not going to get love back in return.
But at that point, it felt good.
Yes.
Okay, yes. But then I've had to
regret
reflect. Yes.
Yeah, so I think it's really taking responsibility, like what Raymond says, understanding that when we do this to each other, we're not taking ownership for ourselves. We're not getting what we are asking and desiring for in terms of our needs. And this need is really about saying, I need love, but before I can receive love, I need to speak to you in a respectable manner, which is what your husband may need from you, right? And it's that dance.
I'm dancing, I'm jumping.
Yeah, I think the principle of us reaping what we sow is so true here.
Yeah.
If we sow respect, probably the respect will come back. I mean, may not be immediate, but over time we will reap the harvest, right? If we sow patience, it will come back to us. So I think to those couples who feel that, I'm always the one giving in, my husband is just hopeless or my spouse is hopeless.
He's not doing anything.
She's always... Why should I be the one giving in? I would say, hang in there, continue to take the higher ground, just do the best you can. And hopefully, prayerfully, over time, your spouse would be touched, and see that hey, my spouse is somebody different, right? My spouse is more patient now, more gracious, more loving, more forgiving. I want to be like that as well. Hopefully that can be the change that will happen over time. Can I guarantee it? No, I can't. But would there be a better way? I mean, would you get
better way.
Yeah, there's no better way. Would continue to shout and be sarcastic get you any better result? No, right? So it's like what Einstein defined insanity to be, right? Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different outcome. It doesn't happen that way. Right. So we have to make a decision ourselves. What do we want to do differently?
And that's often the hardest part, doing something different, because you expect your spouse to start first. But research has shown, and in a lot of the couple work done, many people say it takes two hands to clap. Actually, it takes one partner to shift the dynamics. Just as much as it takes one partner to trigger the entire relationship and the entire conversation, it takes one partner to say, if I choose intentionally to react very differently from how I've always reacted, what kind of response am I going to get from my spouse? And we don't think about that as much. We just go into that set pattern, which landed up in that result of fights and conflicts, which are wounding, detrimental. But if we took a different approach, an approach that was much more enjoyable, what kind of result would we get from the relationship?
But to the couples who are struggling really a lot, then I would also encourage, don't go at it alone. Seek out friends or counselors or mentors who can journey with you to encourage you and to give you the strength that you need, because I don't think we are not made to struggle by ourselves too. Right? And going back to the same earlier point, right? Conflicts are very normal. It shouldn't be avoided. There's no shame to say, hey, I need help. I need some advice from people who have gone ahead of us. How can I do differently? Seek out people who are wiser. And I think that's how we can get that sanity that we need, even though our spouse at the point in time may not be very responsive, appreciative. But hey, I can do something about it. I can get the help from somewhere else.
Or attend the Art of Disagreement. Go Google. They've got like 3 different workshops, right? Art of Disagreement, Art of Engagement, and Art of Oneness, right?
Absolutely.
Powerful. We're just gonna slowly wrap up, but we want to do this little segment called the Quick Fire Connection for people to get to know you a little bit more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask each of you 3 questions. And you'll have 5 seconds each to respond. Actually, it can take a little bit more than 5 seconds, but let's try and aim for 5 seconds, okay? So I'm going to start with Jenny first, then Raymond. Jenny, then Raymond, okay? So Jenny, what's the cutest and yet most disgusting thing about Raymond that you love and hate at the same time? That's so hard.
I love the fact that he has a morning routine that he can move his bowels easily.
That's so good. We wish we had that, right?
Yeah, but at the same time, when I go in and I see things that I don't want to see, because he uses the toilet first.
Okay. Raymond, what's the most ridiculous thing you and Jenny have ever thought about that you can laugh about until now?
Ridiculous. Oh man.
Candy?
Yeah, Candy Crush is probably one of them.
And it doesn't help.
I was going to talk about the toilet. I mean, the toilet example is always there, right? Because and the thing is that I always make sure I flush, but somehow she'll still
be remnants.
Yeah, she'll still pick up on stuff. You didn't flush the toilet properly. It's like, what? I tried.
Get a bidet spray.
Yeah.
There is a bidet spray.
Yeah.
But even that can't get rid of the crap. Okay, next question. Okay, I go back to Jenny. When you both fight, are you inclined to silent treatment for maximum drama or explosive argument to clear the air?
Confirm explosive.
Explosive argument.
I'll answer on behalf.
You don't sleep until I've cleaned your crap.
Absolutely.
Okay, Raymond. Would you rather have Jenny's period mood swings or Jenny cornering you with questions?
Oh my God. The devil, the deep blue sea. I think the latter.
Cornering you with questions.
Questions,
Really...
at least, hopefully the questions are I think gentler.
You hope.
I hope, yeah. Because the pure mood swings can be
She's a
quite...
coach, so you got
Yeah,
poignant
I'm
questions,
hoping that the questions will be quite useful. Yeah.
At least it makes you reflect.
Yeah,
huh?
exactly. The pure mood swings will be a bit too dramatic.
Okay, Jenny. Okay, this one. Would you be more turned on with Raymond wearing socks with Crocs or Raymond in tight skinny jeans?
Neither.
If you had to choose one.
Oh gosh.
Don't look at me.
They both turned me off. I'm sorry, Sandy.
How about Crocs and skinny jeans? Maximum turn off.
Is that what turns you on?
No, not at all. Not at all. I'm turned on by like colorful clothes that my husband wears. Okay, Raymond. Okay, complete this sentence. A man who truly loves his wife will.
Listen to her heart.
Aww. That's so
Score
sweet.
point.
You've won all the ladies' hearts already by saying
No,
that.
just my heart.
Is it listen to her heart, not listen to her? Yeah, that's so powerful. Thank you so much for your time today, for sharing with us the wisdom
Pleasure.
about the art of disagreement, the insights about fighting for our relationship rather than against each other, and also, your practical tips about pressing pause, right?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much. I believe the viewers have gotten a lot of, insights and gems from here. So to everyone watching, what's something that you've taken away today? Is there a BS that sort of came up even as we're talking, having this conversation about relationships and marriage? And most importantly, what could be an action that you would like to take after this session? Thank you for being with us today. And remember, conflicts isn't the enemy. The conflicting skills really are the one. So remember to protect your bond, own your BS, and fight for your relationship together and not against each other. I'm Cindy Tien with the Own Your BS show. Thank you for being here with us, and I'll see you in the next episode. It's just nice. 5:45, 5:46.
Not too bad.
Thank you so much.
It is warm.